Miami, everybody comes here on vacation. A lot of people say there's gratuity. Sometimes say the service is bad. Sometimes they say the food is amazing. But you know, it's time for us to start hearing from the experts. I have here with me Felix, a guy I had a chance to follow his content online. He's dropping sauce on what the restaurants are doing what out here, man. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person.
Great to meet you, my man.
So I know you don't know anything about me, but I want to dive into who you are. Go ahead, tell me, man, why do you know so much? How can you predict the future of restaurants?
I don't think it's about predicting the future. I think it's more about just staying up with the trends and staying in it. I think the one advantage that my brokerage has is this is all we do. We don't pretend to know anything else. We don't pretend to know office or industrial or residential. We're in this 24 hours a day, and we have to see what makes restaurants tick, and more importantly, what makes restaurants go out of business.
And you said brokerage.
Yep.
And you're not somebody who has a traditional hospitality background, but yet you're so affluent in all of this. Can you give me a breakdown? How did you get into this industry?
I'll give you the somewhat quick, long version. Started out as a nightclub promoter, wound up starting one of the first restaurant delivery companies. And by then, we started getting a good sense of restaurants opening and closing based on just things they were doing right or wrong, what they were concentrating on for delivery and, social media at the time. After we sold that to Grubhub back in 2008, we started a biodiesel company, and based on oil levels of used cooking oil, we knew what restaurants were closing, and the real estate just came natural.
I can't believe you said that out loud. I didn't think you was gonna say that on camera.
Why not?
So when it comes to a restaurant venue being successful, especially here in Miami, if you had to pick one, would it be marketing or would it be having great food and great drinks?
I think it's definitely about being true to the food. And I think that a lot of Miami locals, which really keeps the industry alive, they really are all about the food. They're not about the show. The tourists, they're about the show. They're about, coming here and paying $40 a drink. And, but the locals, I think, got a little more educated. That's why for the locals, it's not about, where the cool areas are. For them, it's about where the cool places are. And that's where the smart restaurants go, and that's where the locals go, and that's how some of those areas start getting developed and more people want to go there.
Now, would you say, obviously, where a place is geographically located in the city will determine if they're going to be more local or tourist-based, or should everybody everywhere be focusing on making the locals happy?
I think everybody everywhere should be worried about making locals happy, because what we saw last year and what we're seeing this year, this year I'll be the first one to come out and say it because nobody else is saying it, there was no season this year. Last year was a terrible Art Basel season. This past year, we're not seeing it. Usually where restaurants will call me in April after the busy season's over, like, hey, can you sell my place? They're not even waiting till April. They're selling now. They're worried. They're nervous because they feel that this was a really bad, tourist season, and they're not going to make it till April.
Why do you think that is? Because, I stayed here in Miami for a few years, and I came back over the past year, and I see new condos, developments everywhere, at least 10 plus buildings, which of course have thousands of units overall. Why do you think that they're having, this decrease in opportunity of revenue? I
think the guys that know what they're doing, I call them the top 1%ers. And again, it could be a bagel place like El Bagel, or pizza place like Miami Slice, or a place like Mila. They've gotten it down to even something like Pura Vida, which everybody knows more on like a global scale. What they all have in common is they know their numbers. They all stay within 10% of their projected sales to take real estate. They concentrate on deliveries. They know what areas to concentrate on marketing and social media. And I think they stick with sauce that works. They don't overextend. They don't try to do things because they feel that it's in an area that's going to produce more money. They just stick to it, and the locals go there.
And so for a new concept, looking at coming to Miami, brand new concept, they just want to be here geographically. What are some of the things they need to look out for to make sure they have a good launch?
Oh, that's easy. Don't take risk. Absolutely don't take risk. And whatever you do, only get a second generation space. Do not build anything from scratch. I say it, and I say it time again and again and again. I can name you 20, 40 places just in the last year that never even opened because what they didn't realize is they get involved in a lease that it will still take them 2 years between permitting and building out to open. So they're already a year into a lease. They have to start paying rent and they have to continue paying the carrying costs without being open, and that's it. It's dead on arrival.
Okay, so I guess that was like 2 risks. Don't take risk and don't take risks that way. What are some of the top risks you've seen somebody take coming to the city and it worked out?
Top risk and worked out? Probably, I'm a fan of a place, I think me and you just spoke about it briefly, Sparrow. I think they came in with a super cool concept that, focused both on locals and on tourists, and they just nailed it with great food, great vibe, great music, great drinks, and it was just perfectly curated. The design of the place is amazing. And again, usually I'm the one that hates on, transplants coming here and spending money on a big design with no heart and soul behind it. But, they got it. They nailed it. I got to give them, my hats off to them.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
And so I know Sparrow is one of those places. What are some other your favorite places here from a guy who knows
man.
it all?
Oh,
give
wow.
me a few of them.
Okay. I mean, number one got to be Sunny Steakhouse. Will Carey and Aaron Brooks Aaron was from the Four Seasons Brickell, and Will and Carey from Jaguar Sun, and vice versa. I mean, they started a little test project back during COVID when we were all locked up with an outdoor concept called Sunny's, and it became the hottest thing in Miami. And it did so well, it just made sense to make it a permanent restaurant. And when I tell you that everybody should learn how to open a place in Miami by the way they did it and the style and what people look for, I mean, they crushed it. It is in my, hands down number one.
Man, that's crazy. That's a lot of praise coming from you, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of praise.
So for somebody who has a passion for hospitality, a passion for cooking, or a passion for just making drinks, how can they come into the Miami scene knowing they just don't have these big budgets? What would be a creative way to get activated out here?
Listen, again, don't start with brick and mortar. Learn all the neighborhoods and before you decide. Again, start with a ghost kitchen. Start with a food hall. Don't take risk. Don't take build out risk. Don't be $500,000 to $1 million in the hole on a guess. Do your homework. Don't be, over 10% of your projected sales, no matter how bad you want to be in the neighborhood. The more over 10% you go, that's it. The more risk you're putting yourself into for not a guaranteed, thing. And unfortunately, I got to say it, take advantage of somebody who's made those mistakes and take their second gen space. And again, it's also about the leases you negotiate. Make sure you have exit strategy. Make sure, listen, I want every restaurant in the world to make it, but 95% probably won't. It's true. And if you're not going to make it, just make it as painless as possible for your exit. And just make sure you have a good exit. Make sure you can reassign your lease. Make sure you can sell your place for key money. I've sold places for key money. They've made more on the key money sale than they did in the restaurant. So it's really just about negotiating a good deal, having that exit strategy. Don't take the risk. I think once you build your clientele and your business, then you can take a little more risk. I'm sure that, in Miami, once you hit it a little bit, every developer, landlord, they're going to be all over you and trying to put you in 5 million places. So you're going to have your chance to do your percentage deals, but just to start, start small and just show proof of concept and show that it works.
I like that, man. That's an amazing sauce. Like, these are things you talk about on your platform. I want to see on Instagram. Do you have a YouTube also?
We do, but we keep it Instagram kind of heavy.
Instagram heavy. Yeah. So what have been some of the benefits of the content creation for you putting this message out there?
Everything. I think we did a video, the one time where we really came out, just to be honest, last year we predicted this thing called Restaurant Armageddon 2024 because we saw all the restaurants that were in trouble and were going to close. So, we said, fuck it. And we did a video, talking about it. which went viral, and I had a lot of big groups that were not happy with me. I woke up the next day to, I think, 100 messages and, 100 calls, from some really big groups. There was a lot of support, but there were a lot of people hating, even people whose name I didn't drop. So when I asked them, like, hey guys, like, I didn't even drop your name, why are you hating on me? And they said, because your video is being shared by all our investors who are like, hey, maybe we should put the brakes on Miami. So a lot of them, as predicted, they closed, and I think the more videos that we did, it was just about being honest. And I think the more honest you are in your marketing and your videos, I think the more people will relate and people will chime in, and it'll definitely spread your engagement.
Overall, how do you think this type of message being out there can help out the Miami hospitality industry?
I mean, as you guys know, there's a lot of influencers out there that want to paint this beautiful, pretty picture of Miami, and all it is billionaires, and all it is the good stuff. I think the one advantage that we have is just put it out there. Be honest, be transparent, build trust in the community. And I think once you build that trust, you're going to start, the followers are going to come with it. And I think the most important thing, we've been on social for a few years, but it only popped for us last year. You have to keep feeding the machine. Every single day, you have to produce content, whether you like it or whether you don't, whether you get 0 likes or whether you get 1,000 likes, you have to keep feeding the machine.
You're not doing any crazy content. You're just like turning the camera on. It's like, yo, this is what's happening.
That's it. I mean, listen, we have one of the best companies out there. We have Sage Studios producing our stuff. And I mean, they're really my partner, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
Dude, I love it. And where can we find you at?
fnbleasing.com.
Yeah, man, I appreciate
and
your
F&B
time.
Miami on Instagram.
Yo, we're pulling up, man. Thank you.